Hello and thanks for checking out ChartGuys.com. We're proud to be one of the most successful technical analysis communities online, teaching you the skills to become a more confident, effective, and informed trader. Join our community of hundreds of analysts worldwide working together to learn the charts, generate profit, and achieve financial independence. For access to daily live chart analysis and market coverage, a thriving chat community, along with dozens of hours of exclusive educational materials. We look forward to seeing you. Let's check out some charts. Hey everyone, doing some late night technical analysis for the Canadian MJ names here. Probably got some echo in my voice. I'm in a big empty room, sitting on the floor, desk being delivered Monday, but technical analysis waits for no desk. We've got CGC with the bearish reaction to earnings, so that really sucked the momentum out of both the Canadian and the US MJ sector. We had a shift on Thursday, thanks to the S&P 500 hitting all-time highs, and then CGC promptly sucked away a lot of that momentum with the 8% plus pullback on its bearish reaction. That being said, a lot of individual Canadian companies did respond and buy the dip by the end of the day on Friday. So Monday is going to be very interesting to see how that follows through and if that dip buying continues. We can see here on CGC the dip buying did not take place, and right now we're looking down at really the only clear support level, 38.38. And if that level were to break, then we have not found our low just yet. And the weekly time frame, after a little bit of a bounce, just setting a lower high and heading back down to test support. So we'll see how long this bearish action holds up on CGC. We're not oversold on the daily. The 4-hour RSI will be oversold if we see weakness on Monday and drop down towards 39, and the hourly as well. So for me personally, if I'm looking to play oversold bounces, I want to see another 2% plus drop on Monday to get those RSI levels oversold to get me interested. And it would be a potential bottom fishing play off of 38.38 if we were to head straight down to that level. Again, 4-hour and hourly RSI levels would get extended as we approached it. So with other names, how did we respond? Cron with a long lower wick. So Cron dropped to 15.25 but closed after a 4% plus bounce off those lows. So we still have this daily tightening pattern on Cron with our low, high, higher low, lower high, and this is now our higher low. The bulls defended that support and held that by about 23 cents. So now the most important level for me is 15.25 support or 16.90 resistance. And we're going to see a break of this tightening range likely before the end of next week, and that's going to dictate a lot. That's going to dictate whether or not our weekly momentum can continue shifting back to the bulls to give us our monthly higher low. Remember, we were looking for this monthly higher low on Cron. We're holding exponential support, but the bulls need to confirm a daily trend change, which we have not done yet. We went straight from the low to the high. We need a higher low and a higher high, and at this point, that break of 16.90 would be required to get that. APHA, again, bulls buying the dip, and from that low of 635, we did see a very nice bounce and some nice 5-6% follow through. So where we stand now is still in equilibrium. We have our high, low, lower high, and bulls held support by 6 pennies. And now the question is, can we get follow through and break 696, which is a short-term resistance, to try and remain in this equilibrium? Bulls want to make their way over $7. We would certainly anticipate a lower high compared to 760, but we need to get further follow through, not just one day. It's a good start, but we need to get follow through to get back into this tightening range. If the bulls are able to get over $7 this week, I would expect this daily equilibrium to give us a clear break in early to mid-July. So it could play out a bit if we do get some bounce follow through. ACB, bulls buying the dip. We did drop to a lower low here, so a little bit of a difference in ACB compared to Cron and APHA, which held their support. So ACB broke 713, which means 7 psychological, and you can look at the weekly time frame. The next support is 666 after 7 psychological. So any bounce here, anything under 769 is just a lower high, and we have the daily exponential resistance as a guide as well. That's been rejecting the price for the last month or so. So again, dip buying, absolutely. Bulls playing defense. Now the question is, can they show us something on offense? Can we break resistances? Can we change daily trends? Unless we see these things happen, we're remaining skeptical of these bulls. These are short-term oversold bounces, and they must see follow-through. We have to see hourly trend changes and daily trend changes So bulls have their work cut out for them this week, needing follow through. TLRY. So TLRY is continuing to give us really good indication that our bottom has been hit. So I've talked about how, in my opinion, the summer lull and the sell in May and go away narrative is overplayed, which is going to cause the market to price it in advance. And in my opinion, TLRY has bounced significantly enough that our bottom is in for now. Looking at the weekly time frame, a significant move, and it doesn't even look that significant because of how much we pulled back from the top, which was way overdone. But at this point, we would have to see the bears drop the price another 30+% to see lower lows. So in my opinion, the odds of that happening are less likely than the odds of that happening. The bulls can form a higher low, anything above 38.70 to keep the daily uptrend intact. And the next resistance level we're going to be looking at after 51.03, it's still a double top at 51, but after that is 54.10 and then a lack of resistance. 54.10 being cleared would be a great sign for the bulls. And again, look at the volume. And not many MJ names, regardless of what country, are showing us bull volume like this. And it's very easy to be believers in the bulls when they're backing it up with volume. Remember, that's our prove it indicator. And looking back at the volume, we can see the last time we saw anything comparable to this chunk of bull volume was a significant bull move back when we were in the $70 to $100 range. So it is notable for me what we're seeing here. When we lose the hourly uptrend, our daily top will be set and we'll have to form that daily higher low. But anything above 46.20 keeps the hourly uptrend intact heading into this next week. OGI also dropped to a lower low below 615, but didn't get much follow through for the bears. That being said, bulls prove absolutely nothing to us unless they can break 661. If we don't break 661, doesn't mean a thing. The bears keep complete control. Break that level and we'll look to start to shift momentum, as that was the top of the bounce that we saw last week. Hexo, trying to change the daily trend. We have our low of 540. Our high of the bounce is 593. Have to hold 540 and break 593 to shift momentum. The daily exponential resistance is dropping down as well. That has to become support to see a clear shift in momentum. So bulls have their work cut out for them in Hexo as well. And we can see, again, individual names breaking correlations with each other. We're no longer seeing the sectors, both Canadian and US, tick for tick. We're seeing individual names with huge bounces, individual names down near their lows, seeing weak bounces. And right now, Hexo and OGI are some of the weaker bounces at this point. And I'm thinking of just the US MJ bounce last week. If we're comparing it to Canadian, the Canadian sector, a lot of names dropped to lower lows, some names held. So again, having a list next to your computer, writing down who's standing out as stronger, who's still holding daily higher lows, APHA, Cron, TLRY, these names are holding daily higher lows. VFF is about to, we're going to look at it in just a second. But the very big difference between someone like Cron and someone like OGI that did drop to a lower low. TRST, 650 has to hold, barely held, have to break 729, change this momentum, change the daily trend, get over these daily exponential resistances which have rejected the price a half dozen times to change the momentum. That's the key of the video here. Bulls have to prove it this coming week, and we need to be skeptical until they do. TGOD, exponential resistance, rejecting every bounce attempt. Support is 313, resistance is 342. Break 342 and we'll start paying attention. Turn the daily exponential resistance into support. We'll start paying attention. When we change daily trends, we zoom out to the weekly chart, and we know the vast majority of individual names are likely to form weekly lower highs. We can break 342 and change the daily trend and still look for a lower high compared to 428. So just step number one, change the hourly, then we zoom out to the daily. Change the daily, then we zoom out to the weekly. It's a long road ahead for these bulls, but we want to be paying attention when things are weak and try and get the best opportunity for entries that we can before significant trend changes take place. VFF, and by significant I mean weekly trend changes. We certainly want to be in before the weekly trend changes take place. So for VFF, we have this support level down at 1156, and the odds are that it's going to break. Look at that volume. And I actually was out on Friday after the morning, and I do believe there was some kind of news that did hit VFF. Don't have it off the top of my head. Certainly want to double check that for yourself. But when you see that kind of volume and that kind of candlestick, and you compare it to what the sector did, you know something's up with this individual name. So 1156 breaking, and we're looking at the gap fill of 1115, and we're in a scenario where the bulls did not change the daily trend. We saw a 40% bounce with no daily trend change, and here we are giving back a significant portion of that move because the bulls never proved follow through to us. Weekly time frame for VFF, 1029 is the most important support for me, and that's where we'll focus after, or I should say if, we fill that gap. Odds of breaking 1156 are high due to the volume and the close at the low of the day. Back into the extraction plays, LABS. We've been consolidating just like everybody else, but look at the monthly chart. We're coming off our all-time highs on these extraction plays, and we are anticipating monthly higher lows to form on these names. So the daily chart, bullish reversal candlestick, but it doesn't mean anything unless the bulls are able to see a clear break of 555. Anything under that, just a daily lower high. But again, names where we're anticipating monthly higher lows to form, coming off of all-time highs, and we have a good amount of USMJ names in that scenario, whether it's CL or OH. But on the Canadian side, even Cron, it's been a lot of months, but it's coming off the all-time high and looking for a monthly higher low. And we're going to be looking for the same on OGI and Hexo on their monthly time frames. So throw in the extraction plays, and we need a daily trend change as the first indication that our monthly higher lows are potentially forming. Oils, pretty contained consolidation. It did just drop to a lower low without much bear follow through. Daily exponential resistance, and we've got 51. 51 and 54 are the most important resistances for me. If we can't break 51, it's just a lower high, keeping the bears in control. There's your monthly chart, looking for a higher low, but the size of the pullback percentage-wise means that when we form a monthly higher low, we would anticipate on this name to form a monthly lower high and tighten up. And when we look at labs and compare the pullback size, it is a bit different. It's comparable, 48% to 38%, but if I'm going to take two names and say who is more likely to see a new all-time high first, it's the name that's pulled back less. So I want to be comparing individual names to their peers, not only in the sector as a whole, but in the subsector as well. VGW, most closest to the trend change, and we broke resistance, so we broke the daily lower highs. Now we need the higher low and higher high to confirm the daily trend change. It's looking good here, potential little higher low forming. And if anybody in the extraction play is going to change their trend first, with this current setup, VGW is clearly the leader. And I can remember saying that when we first started covering these extraction plays, that VGW, technically speaking, was the leader of these names. Look at the monthly time frame for VGW. Beautiful bull flag potential. And with where we stand, we need 16% compared to 38 and 48%. It's a very significant difference. VGW is going to likely have a good fall. And I can say that because we're going to be looking at catalysts for the edible space and the extraction space in Canada in October, in December. And this is a name that even if this bottom isn't set, as it looks like it may be, even if it isn't, and even if we drop down to $3, this is still a name that's looking good heading into the fall. CXXI, so now we're getting to the low caps. Again, just pain. And you just feel the pain of those that fell for the pump and bought near the top and averaged down. And here we are with a big time drop. Anything under 116 is just a daily lower high. Bull's not proving anything. And at the weekly chart at this point, it's going to be a long road to recovery. Any bounce, we're just going to be looking for a weekly lower high. So I'm not interested in this name, but as I said in the MJ video, the USMJ video, if I were in a more aggressive place as a trader right now I'm conservative because of how the past 2 years have gone and hitting goals and things like that. But if I were being aggressive in this space, I would absolutely be watching the low caps, because when those trends do change, 50% moves are not hard at all. But the sector sentiment would have to change, and the last thing you want to be doing is holding one of these low caps or these micro caps and just the slow bleed, dropping it down. Have to wait for the change in momentum. There will be gains opportunities when that happens, but it has not happened yet. NRTH was another one, just a complete drop off from the license news gave back almost half of that move, and anything on the daily chart under 93 cents, just a daily lower high. Not looking to change the trend anytime soon, but just, again, a chart you want to keep checking in on every day, every other day. And just like MedMen in the USMJ space, it was bearish for months and months, and I had no interest, but it's starting to show me some signs that it's worth paying attention to now. So we'll look for the same in these small caps in Canada. 150 double bottom on fire. Anything under 185 is just a lower high. Bulls want to make their way up to the 160s, 170 to at least get back to the midway point and give us an equilibrium to be watching into mid-July. But at this point, the Bulls still have proving to do. They played defense the second half of this past week. Now they have to go on offense and get back up to the middle of this range. And continuing to fade. So we saw 100% move in 3 days, and now we have given back 40% from that high. So looking at the weekly time frame, we didn't change any trends on any time frames. The daily chart, we saw a low, high, pulled all the way back, lower, high, lower, low. Never changed the trend. Weekly time frame, never changed the trend, lower highs and lower lows. We're looking back down at 49 cents as support. And again, just red flags all over the space. This is why continuation is so important. That's why daily trend changes are so important. To change the daily trend, you have to see a bull move, healthy consolidation, and then continuation. Those are the three components. And if you get a bull move, that's one of them, that's great. But if you don't get healthy consolidation and you don't get continuation, there is no follow through and there is very limited opportunity for the bulls to profit. KHRN, again, not in the Canadian space, but this is where we're putting the video. Most important resistance for me is 289. Next level is 265, and we rejected from 262. So bulls must hold 218 and break 262 to start and change the daily trend. Daily exponential resistance, continue to give the bulls trouble. Checking out the monthly. So we're looking for a monthly high or low. The size of the pullback means we would also look for a monthly lower high. But testing the exponential support, let's see if the bulls can change the daily trend and hold monthly exponential support, which is what we're looking for on other names like Cron and like names coming off their all-time high. So I appreciate you tuning in. We got some ducks here to wrap it up. And I'm cutting off the end of the USMJ video to put the end of this shut up. Talked on Midas letter on Friday a bit about the broader, bigger picture of things, so check that out if you're interested. And that's that. We got some ducks here, and the duck out in the pond, I was convinced that the previous owners had either fed it or, you know, had become very accustomed to it, because this duck keeps walking up to me a few feet away. But they said the duck just got here a couple days ago, so I just watched her fly up into the tree where she's going to sleep, and the babies sleep down either in the pond or on the ground. I didn't see where they went, but they're certainly not getting up in the tree. So I'll be best friends with them in no time. Got some duck food on the way, and we'll certainly watch them grow up over the next couple of months. And other than that, went to a fish show last night, and right when I walked through the gate, 4 people recognized me from MJ videos, and it was like I was their long-lost friend, so that was great. I appreciated that warm welcome, and I'll see you all in the Canadian MJ video in 10 minutes.